If you enjoy listening to inspirational stories from people just like us, facing the fear and doing it anyway, then you're in the right place. My name is Claire Hill, and this is the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Hello, how are you? How is your week? Episode 12 of the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Just a few more weeks until I have a break over Christmas. But we're going to get to episode 15, I believe, in December. Me and my husband are actually going to be doing an episode soon. It's not going to be about us. It's going to be about our work with around trauma-informed care. But it'll be interesting. I have been really poorly this week. I think last week I was beginning it. So yeah, I've been poorly for like 10 days. It needs to sort itself out. Saturday morning, I woke up with a huge cold sore around my nose. For anybody who suffers from cold sores, usually they happen around your lips, but I get them around my nose and it's an absolute blinder, but I'm on the medicine for it. I think the problem I have, and it's a strength of my character, but also a weakness, that I love my work so much that sometimes I don't know when to stop. But yeah, I've got an amazing episode today with my wonderful friend Jennie. She's literally one of the most beautiful people in the world. I've never met her in real life, but I really love her. Luckily, she loves me back. We discovered each other through Dance Box, and we used to dance virtually together every week. And Jennie is so interesting and wonderful, and is really in tune with herself and her body, and helps women to also become in tune with their own bodies. This is the first episode from Jennie. We're actually going to record another one in the new year because we overran big time and we didn't cover everything that we wanted to talk about. So she's coming back in the new year. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Please follow her and please get in touch with her if any of the knowledge she gives out resonates with you. She really is a wonderful human being. Enjoy. Hey, Jennie.
Hi, Claire.
Hi. It's so nice to be having a conversation with you.
I know,
Finally. You're one of my virtual friends.
I know.
I've never met in real life, but we're friends.
Thank God for Instagram, hey?
I know, yeah. So are you comfy? Have you got a nice
Comfy?
Got a cup of that cocoa? I can't say it.
Cacao.
Cacao. Because you have a thing at 3:00, don't you?
Yeah, it's not 3:00 yet, though.
It's not, no.
No, can't have it before 3:00.
Oh, but
So
you haven't got Oh, you haven't got it then?
I've not got my cacao, but I've got my hot water.
So why can't you have it before 3?
You can, it's just my rule, because I drink cacao because it's really rich in magnesium. Yeah. So it's really good for fatigue. And I have my natural dip at about 3:00. So it's my little pick-me-up in the day.
Oh, Jennie.
Instead of gin.
Well, do you know, I was saying, me and my husband, sorry, we'll go to you in a minute, but me and my husband were saying how we are so tired at the minute. And you have a little space in my ear that you just sit, a tiny version of Jennie going, adrenal glands, adrenal fatigue, you need to take some magnesium.
Also, it'll be the turn of the seasons at the moment.
Yeah.
Everybody, I think when it turns to autumn, well, just naturally where, it's like we'll kind of like gather and, start to prepare for hibernation.
Yeah, well, it's getting so dark, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dark mornings, dark evenings.
Yeah.
But we'll come to all of this because the reason I've asked you to be on the podcast is because you are so freaking wise, and anything that you tell me, I take as gospel. You know that I actually do as well. You are absolutely amazing. So for everybody who doesn't know who you are, what's your name? Where'd you come from? What do you do?
So I'm Jennie. I'm Nurturing Touch, and what do? I do lots of different things. My main one is women's health and trying to get women to understand their hormones and their body and their natural cycle, and getting them to connect with themselves and work with their cycles throughout their month. And then just recently I've gotten into sound healing. So I've done my training, and that's really nice because that allows me to work with feminine and masculine energy, which is a new path for me, which is great. And yeah, I just love to connect people to themselves and to their little tribe, so everybody feels held and loved.
Is anyone else already feeling like Jenny's hugging their heart from everything you're saying? Like,
I
literally, I'm
just
like,
want, can you tell my love language is physical touch?
yeah,
I just
literally.
want
You're
to hug
actually cuddling
everybody.
yourself as you're talking. I want to just sit and cuddle myself. It's so lovely. So we met through Dance Box
Yeah.
with Elena, and I don't even know how we started talking. But anyway, we did.
I think I was just trying to bribe you to get it up on your stories, get you dancing on your. I was like, get your dancing on.
I'm rubbish. I'm not as good as
You're
you.
not.
I am.
Shush now.
I
Shush
am.
now.
But anyway, we got matey, and then and you did a live on the Dance Box, so that the membership one, about like women's health, like you were saying, connecting to yourself, the seasons of our cycle, and I was just blown away. I think that was the first step into. That must have been about a year ago, maybe just under a year ago. That was a step into me, I suppose, understanding a little bit more about hormones. And actually, we were saying about oversharing. I came off the contraceptive pill quite soon after that because of because of understanding that. So yeah, I'm talking for you, but that's why I've got you here, because you are so wise and interesting about all of that.
I just think women, how do we not know this stuff?
Yeah.
You know, like, we're born with our wombs. We've got generations behind us that have gone through all these different cycles and birth and menopause. And it's like not passed down because we've been shamed.
Yeah.
Like, nobody talks about periods, shush, shush, shush. And we're doing ourselves a disservice, because if we can work with our cycles, we're so much more productive.
Yeah. Oh, massively. Absolutely. So where did it all start? Where did you get interested in this? What is the journey from, not knowing, I suppose, the same as everybody else, to knowing as much as you do now?
So I did my training in midwifery. So I trained to be a midwife. And then that wasn't quite right for me. And then I did doula. Have you heard of being a doula? Yeah. So I was a doula for a while, and did my hypnobirthing training. And I always worked in kind of birth and like the maternity sector. And then Mizan, I think I found it on maybe Facebook or something. And I was like, oh, what's this? And looked into it. And I was like, this is right up my street, because this gets me to work with all women, from like young girls just starting with their periods all the way through to like post-menopause. So I was like, this is great. And I trained, and I would say I literally had a spiritual awakening on that training.
Wow. So how long ago was that?
Maybe 6.5 years now.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, like, this is how women support women. This is true listening, because there was a lot of sharing, like when women start to tune into their wombs and their bodies, like a lot comes up, because a lot happens in our wombs. And there's a lot of stories to be told. And so it was just absolutely amazing. And then I went on to do my pregnancy and postnatal Mizan training. Then I did my advanced training. Then I assisted on some Mizan training myself, which was really interesting. I really enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed teaching. And so I've worked as a Mizan therapist now for like 6 years, and just listening to women's stories, it's just, women are awesome, man. They're just awesome.
We are.
Just incredible. How so, when some women sit down and they kind of go and tell you their story, and you think, how are you functioning? How have you gone through all of that and you're still functioning. And holding up families, you know, you've got however many children and you've got partners and you've got houses and jobs and you're holding it all together. And just getting them to recognize that is just
recognize their self-worth because how many of those women lack self-worth when they're doing all of that?
I know, and they don't see it.
No,
you know, and it's like the first Mizan appointment can take 3 hours, sometimes more, because they're telling the whole story and like what they do, and it's like, because it condenses it and makes it really intense. You can say to them, can you see what you do? And they're like, yeah, it's a lot, no wonder I'm tired.
So what are the principles of, is it Mizan? Mizan therapy.
Mizan, the word is balance. So it's about creating balance in a woman's body. Now you can look at that in different ways. So you can look at it a very biological, physical body balance. So making sure your pelvis is balanced, making sure your womb sat central in your pelvis, which is done by the massage and making sure that the fascias not too tight, not too loose in your body, which is like all your muscles and the matrix of your body, making sure all that's sitting correctly. So there's the physical balance, there's a hormonal balance. So we work on your adrenals. Obviously, we're working on your lower abdomen, so it affects your ovaries, which is a huge part of your endocrine system. So it's balanced in that. And then for me, I work on a spiritual balance as well, and working on an energetic level. So a lot of women sit very much in their masculine, which is a very doing energy. And the feminine energy is all about receiving, which women don't do a lot of.
No.
So it's about teaching women how to receive without guilt.
Oh, receiving without guilt. Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. Some women literally sit there and go, I actually don't know what you mean. I don't know how to do that or achieve that.
Yeah. So because I think the first, as soon as you said that, it's like, well, if I'm being given something, it's taken away from somebody else.
Okay.
Actually, the principle of that is not true, because there is enough for everybody and you. Yeah, I'm guessing that's sort of along.
Yeah.
How do you work through those sort of blocks when people are saying that?
So that's when the whole self-care comes in.
Okay.
So we'll talk about how much time they've got and how much time they can factor into their timetable, what needs to take priority. And then we'll find self-care things that they can fit in easily, because like I always say, self-care isn't another tool to beat yourself up with. So, you know, some women are like, I'm really sorry, I didn't manage to do that. I'm rubbish, I can't even do that. And no. Self-care is about filling you up. It's not another thing to berate yourself with. So we just want realistic expectations of what can you do? How much time have you got? Whilst you're reading your toddler a book, could you do a castor oil treatment then, which is a treatment that I suggest for lots of my Mizan clients? Because it's about finding time when you're still to do a castor oil. You have to be still. And it's like, well, I'm never still. Well, can we factor it into when you're reading to your children or whatever?
For those people that don't know about the castor oil treatment, I was going to go northern then, castor oil treatment. You explain what it is.
So castor oil is really, really heat. It warms you up. It's healing. So a lot of women's bodies are quite cold, and to heal, we need it to be warm. We need that blood flow to be moving. And as you know, cold is restrictive. So we need to generate. If we're trying to work on your womb being central, we need to build the ligaments up that are holding your womb in place. How we do that is by getting them strong and healthy. And for them to do that, they need a blood supply. Now, your womb area doesn't very often get touched. So it's usually quite cold. So the massage that I do warms it up, but then for you to go away and work on it on your own, you get a self-care massage from me, but then there's this castor oil treatment. The oil penetrates and it goes through all your skin, all your muscular layers,
Wow.
and it really helps to warm and build up your ligaments and generate that blood supply. But you need to be sat still for about half an hour, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And women that are busy are just like, I have not got that time. So that's when we start to try and look into their timetable and how they can.
Because
Because
I came across it when I had my stomach issues, but when they were really bad, and to try and help the pain, because it's just really good for pain as well, isn't it? Like pain relief.
Because it's warming.
Yeah.
Heat is a pain relief and it softens things. Even if you just lie down and put your hands on your womb, you don't need to do anything spiritual and connect, but that will generate heat and that will soften it. You know, we're not talking about extreme pain here. We're just talking, things aren't quite in balance and you've got period pains.
So self-care, receiving without guilt, just sort of, those things that people find so challenging. What kind of problems how do people find you and say, I've got that, this is what I need help with, and I think Jennie's going to solve those problems with this therapy?
So it's funny, I think certain people are attracted to certain therapists. So Mizan can be seen as a fertility treatment, because if you're struggling to conceive, then obviously Mizan's working with hormones and getting your body to receive a pregnancy. But I do work with fertility clients, but my main area of women that come to me are painful periods, endometriosis, releasing trauma. So whether it's been sexual abuse as a child, or birth trauma, or sexual violence as an adult. I work with a lot of women that have been through quite traumatic things.
And it's sort of like you said, connecting with their body in a more positive way, because I imagine that the only experience I have is of this like IBS stomach bug thing that I'm just slowly coming out of now, but I hope so. But when you are facing infertility potentially, and you've been through that kind of trauma, and I suppose actually my experience of having Jackson, because it didn't go to plan, you just think my body's useless, and it's getting back to that feeling of, no, your body's magical actually. But it can be hard for people to get their head around that.
It's so sad when you hear women talk about their bodies like that, and I can completely understand why there's that disconnect. And why they don't trust their body, why they don't want to tune in. Like if they hear me going, oh, you've got to tune into your body, and they're like, what? Like, I can swear, can't I?
Of course you can.
Like fuck off. Like, what the hell are you talking about? You've got no idea. Like they don't want to connect with their body. It's caused them so much pain, so much anguish. It's stopped them doing things that they want to do. Why would they love it and embrace it and treat it as a sacred thing? They just want to they don't want anything to do with it, but they've got to live in it. So it's about getting women to connect with that.
So it's getting over that battle, because we do have to live in our bodies.
And you know what, if you love your body, it works so much better for you. It's like with anything, if you give something love, it works better, everything works better. And treat it like a toddler. When you're like, you're a pain in the arse, but I know that all you need is a cuddle and then you'll be okay again. It's like that. Okay, you're showing me pain right now and I don't particularly want to connect with you, but actually if I spend some time listening to what you want, then you'll work better for me.
And I think going just quickly to divert, but when you said that, it reminded me of once, well, all the time, Jackson looks in the mirror, and Jackson's 3, and he looks in the mirror like he is the most magnificent, magical being that's ever walked the earth. He is amazed that he can move his eyes up and down, and he can look at his ears, and, you know, like all of these magical things. And I was looking at him, looking at himself, and then I looked at myself, and he was smiling at me in the mirror. And I was like, where do we lose that ability to marvel at our own selves? Because, and actually now when I look in the mirror, I think, but how would Jackson look at himself? And I try and it actually has helped quite a lot. Like, I don't care as much. I think maybe it's age though, because I'm fast approaching 37. So when you get to that point,
you're a baby, 37.
You're only just 40 though.
42 soon.
Yeah, 42. My husband's at like, that's not old. Anyone older than my husband is a bit older, because they can't be too old. Like, he's 41. But yeah, so that kind of idea that and the language as well. I always think about, what language am I using? I never ever say, oh, I mean, I would say I used to be fat. Bloody, that's ridiculous. No one is fat anyway. They've just got fat on them, and actually everyone has fat on them, sort of thing. But it's rewiring that idea of how you see yourself, and you're right, connecting with your body. And now I think for ages I was in so much pain after having Jackson, and my stomach issue, and then I was just like, yeah, but I created a baby in my body, thank goodness. But also, you know what else as well is saying that, not even about having a baby, I used to really hate my feet. It's really weird. I used to hate them, and then now I'm like, but all of the places they've taken me.
Yeah.
So now I say to Jackson, oh, you've got lovely feet, imagine all the places they're going to take you.
Yeah.
I just rewired that a little bit.
Yeah. And, our bodies aren't for anybody's gaze, are they? They're for us to go and explore the world and go and see it and achieve things. And, cosmetically, I'm not particularly where I want to be with my body, but when I go and do things, like when I'm going walking in the fells and stuff, I'm like, well done, you're amazing. Like, my body's amazing. Like, look at where I've come from, all the way down there, and on my own steam, I have got all the way up here. And the things that our body can achieve with, training or whatever, we're amazing. Humans are pretty awesome. Awesome. Like birth, like our wombs, going back to wombs, like, good God, look what they do. They go from like the size of a small pear, and they stretch to hold a human and grow a human and a placenta in there, and then your womb contracts and helps you to release your baby and birth life, and we're not celebrating that. Like, what's that about? Why are we not celebrating it? Like, we as women give life, our wombs give life.
It's quite crazy, isn't it?
Sorry, but if men could do it, we'd be celebrating it. They'd have a day off, they'd have a bank holiday for it.
And after we've had that baby and we are really in pain, we wouldn't be pushing ourselves to be and pretend that we're superhuman and okay when we might not be. And it's okay not to be okay.
And the power of rest, actually, women that have babies and then they try and just like get on with life, and you think, oh, come on, rest.
That's what was me. I swear, my recovery, so when I had Jackson, I spoke about it in another episode, but I had Jackson, I had forceps, he got stuck. I was pushing for a very long time. It was very dangerous because I was actually exhausted, like proper exhausted. And they said to Dan, don't worry, this will save them both. And then so now Dan is just petrified about anything. But because I've got hypermobility now, I should have probably had a cesarean because of the way my hips are. But anyway, so then afterwards I couldn't walk properly for a good couple of months, and just the pain, the standing up, but I just ignored it all. I was like, no, I've had a baby, I'm going to be a mum. I need to go shopping. I need to cook the dinner. I need to do the housework. And I'll just be in like absolutely sobbing. If I just lay down.
You needed a postnatal doula to do all of that for
I
you, so
do.
you could just sit down with the baby.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But that's what society is, a bit of a different
But
kettle
this
of
is what it
fish.
used to be, isn't it? This is why I
Absolutely.
want to do the whole building tribes, having a community around you, because it used to be, like you'd have that little group of women that would come and cook your tea that night and make sure everybody was okay and really, really help out. You'd have grandma just down the street. Whereas we don't live like that anymore, and our
Mm,
health is really, really suffering. And it's quite subtle until you're on your knees, and then it takes a
absolutely.
long time to recover. Whereas if we just did our recovery properly, and then you wouldn't end up where you like can't cope, struggling with your mental health, your body's in pieces, everything's falling apart, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was like. And you saying I was literally on my knees.
Mm.
But I think as well for women that I was on maternity leave from a really successful career. Well, not really successful career, but I was an assistant head and I was on the go all the time.
You can
Like
say
I'm
you had a
going back to
successful
work.
career, Claire. You need to own that.
I had a success that I've left, but now I've got a successful business. I'm going to own that. But I was always running around doing everything. So like all, in anybody that works in education, you don't stop. But that really affected how I was going to rest. I couldn't accept that I needed to rest. And it wasn't, nobody said to me, you need to rest. It
Because
wasn't,
what's celebrated is people keeping, oh, she's amazing. She just keeps going. She just
yeah,
keeps, look at her. She just keeps going. It's all, that's what's celebrated, instead of going, do you know what? She took that 9 months of maternity leave, or however long you
yeah,
get, to actually rest and mother that child and really get herself well. You
yeah.
don't hear that.
No,
You
I
hear,
just,
you hear, oh, she was amazing. She was back in a jeans for after, a week. And you just think,
yeah.
that
Well,
feels, when I
that's
hear
it.
that, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. But I didn't even rest through my maternity. I started Vivid, did my masters. Couldn't walk though, could I? So I had to do something. But no, but yeah, going back to your work with like building your tribes, you've gone into you say you've trained to do sound healing now,
Mhm.
which I've seen lots of stuff on your Instagram about that.
Mm.
And it was really interests me of how we can use because and actually from your Instagram profile I did a bit of research about it when I was doing my master's degree in the depths of hell in August when I was doing all-nighters to try and get my brain to engage. I was listening to this because Spotify do these sort of different hertz
Yeah,
playlists
yeah,
and really understanding that if you listen to this hertz or this frequency whatever, then your brain goes into these kinds of sound brain waves. And it just
yes.
blew my mind. How did you get into or become interested? Was it just like a natural progression?
No, so I really like the whole spiritual side of things, and I really love exploring all of that. And I wanted to be into yoga and into meditation, and I couldn't do it. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm shit at being spiritual. I can't sit still. And then I went to a sound bath, and I was just like, my brain stopped, like
Yeah.
my head stopped. And I came round and I was like, oh, that was amazing. And I wanted
Yeah.
to learn more. And like you, I then started looking into like the brain waves of alpha and beta and
Yeah, that's
gamma.
it. Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is fascinating. So then the guy whose sound bath I went to trains as well. And he was the one that I went and did my training with. Yeah. And I just I just love it. Like I get so in my area in Skipton, there isn't anybody really doing it. So I was like, oh, I'm going to train and then I can give this service to other people, but I still don't get to go and receive a sound bath. So
Right.
I need to go and find a sound bath for me. But everybody talks about how they sync with it, and I think for
Mm.
people who are stressed or busy or can't switch their mind off, or creatives, you know, like, because creative minds are usually
Yeah.
always ticking,
Very
to
vivid.
allow them to, yeah, to give them space, to
Yeah.
open up that space in your mind is
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh, I found it really, and I actually, when I was listening to it, because I was listening to that kind of music, I think it was like 8-9 hours a day to get me through the masters, because I had such a short window, because I left it all to the last minute, obviously, because I'm running a business. But
Yeah.
I sat literally in this seat listening to it constantly, and it was like I was just on autopilot, because I knew what I needed to write for my final dissertation, but I couldn't like access it because I was stressing out so much. And then now I read back and I can't remember reading most of it, but it sounds really good. It's like, well, pass and masters. I don't know what the grade is yet, but it was it sort of opened my eyes to how these are natural things around us, these sounds, and being in tune with our out you know, I suppose nature, but our outside space. And whenever I feel I think I really need to go and do a sound bath, I think, but because it's exactly the same, I do try and meditate and try and be mindful. Yoga I love because of the movement, but not really, though I'm not supposed to do yoga because I've got hypermobility, so don't tell my physio friends that I just said that. But that whole, it just, I need things a bit more fast paced in a way. But that sounds perfect, because it is, my brain never ever stops. Sometimes I have like 3 thoughts going at the same time. I'm singing a song to myself and then 2 other things I'm thinking about. Yeah, constantly got radio on.
Yeah, and that's what the sound does. It really helps you kind of focus in. It can be used for lots of things. So sound can be used for pain. So I have a couple of clients that come and we use the sound bowls on their body, so the vibration actually penetrates through their body and it gives them pain relief. It can be used so you can use it to like create a high energy. So like if they're feeling like fatigued, maybe not fatigued, but you know, tired and need a lift, you can do that. Or if you need the relaxation, or if you need focus, because the different instruments and the different sounds access the different brain waves, so you can kind of tailor it to what. With a sound bath, it has to be kind of for everybody because you've got a big group in front of you. But on a one-on-one, you can work with somebody and find out what brainwave it is that they're wanting to access.
Oh, wow.
It's absolutely magic, and I'm learning so much with the sound. Yeah, it's really good for people that really struggle with sit down, be quiet, sit cross-legged meditation. You know, if you can't access that, sound is a really good way to go and find some meditation and switch that thinking, that your cortex off at the front.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think of going for like, I just seen the sound healing, but yeah, sound bath sounds really relaxing.
Yeah, they're
Like,
lovely. They're lovely.
oh, amazing. So you do your sound healing, and then you're on a mission to sort of create these tribes and connect people together.
Yeah.
I've seen you do a few groupy things. That's the wrong word, you know,
the moon circles.
The moon circle, that's it.
Yeah, so we do, me and my friend Lynn from Sacred Awakenings. She, now if you think I'm wise, you need to meet her.
Oh, wow.
She is just magic, that woman. But me and her do a full moon circle online, where everybody gets sent a little box of gifts and we work through the box, and the general rhythm is I read a story that's kind of connected to that moon, and then we journal, and then Lynn talks about the moon because every moon has a name and a meaning behind it. So she does that, and everybody gets a crystal in their box and we talk about the connection between the crystal and the moon. And then she does a yoga nidra. Have you heard of nidra? So it's like, it's basically lie still yoga. But she talks you through like a really lovely body scan, and then we'll take you off somewhere. Whenever I do a nidra with Lynn, I just go to a magical place and have no idea where it is, but it's absolutely magic. I love it.
Wow.
So yeah, but within that we do lots of journaling and sharing, because there's so much in sharing and opening your throat chakra and speaking, and sharing your wisdom, because not everybody's walked, nobody else has walked your path. They might have walked something similar, and I think we all used to talk a lot more and share and form these connections and community through talking. Not really doing that anymore.
Mm.
Don't really, whether it's because our families aren't close by anymore, we've all expanded, or, friendship circles, or we're all just in the rat race and too busy. But yeah, this again, loss of connection. So it's just about bringing people together again. So the full moon we do online, and we've just started a new moon circle, which is face-to-face locally in Skipton.
Oh, amazing. Going back to your connection, I think people are good at talking, but they're not so good at listening. And it's it's funny because it's like everyone's competing to be heard, but I think listening is such an important, it's more important than talking, I think. I mean, I don't know whether maybe my listening skills have improved because all I do all day is listen to podcasts, and obviously do this now and do my own, but listening to people and like active listening and making sure that you're getting to I practice active listening with Jackson all the time. Even though he's only 3, he's talking to me, so I like repeat the last word that he said and all this last little bit, so he then wants to tell me more. But it's lovely to have the idea of coming together as a focus, and actually though they're all sharing, but the focus is about being together, not themselves.
But what you said there about the listening is and the being heard, it's the being heard. Anybody can sit there and listen to somebody, but it's about being like, for somebody to sit there and actually not try and solve your problem or try and logically make sense of it, but have an empathy and hear you. It's touching and it's really powerful, because it's like, oh, you see me, because we're all just so busy, aren't we? And trying to fight our way through it, and that's where the connection is. And it's just, when you see it happen, it's just magic.
I think as well, isn't it our role, as our perceived role as women, to fix everything? Because I'm getting much better at just listening to people and saying, that must be really hard for you. I'm really happy for you. Being happy and listening. That's the thing as well. People not sharing their celebrations as much because they're worried, people, I don't want to show off, when actually that's what people should be doing. So it's showing themselves off, saying, celebrating, instead of, I feel modern conversation is all about who's had a worse day, who's busier. Instead of, guess what, today I've had a few challenges, but today I've done this. It was so amazing. I'm really proud of myself. And
do you think that's because, the worse things are, the more empathy or the more heard people are? Like, I struggle sometimes sharing my birth story because I've had amazing births. And I think, I work with people that have gone through birth trauma, how does that look? Or if you've got a successful business, but I think we need to put these positive stories out there to remind people that things are achievable. Like, because sometimes you think, well, I can't do that, and they've like, thinking about births, all you need to do is go on a school playground and listen to women talk, and they're all talking about how horrific their birth was, and they're stood on a school playground. So how many years after the birth is that? Like maybe 4 or 5. And it's like, that's where your stripes are. Oh, I had forceps, I had an episiotomy, I got cut from here. Well, when the man with wellies walked in, I knew my number was up. All these horrific things. You don't hear women say, I just had my baby and it was amazing and magic and really quiet and soft and gentle. You don't hear it.
No, but I think I know, having a a trauma. I've got my fingers up. Traumatic. It was much more traumatic for my husband, not for me, because I was on the drugs. Like I had everything going at the time. I'd been rushed in, and I wasn't scared until one of my best friends is literally about to drop, and she said, I don't feel scared. I went, no, you shouldn't. It's the most natural thing ever. I wasn't scared until I was like wheeled into the surgery, not even when the blue lights were on, I wasn't scared. But I always talk about that feeling of kissing his skin for the first time, just like my heart sings, and the bubble and holding him, and me just literally sitting with my tits out for like 3 days. I just didn't care. I was just naked for everybody. But I was like, look, I'm breastfeeding my baby. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was just so like,
high.
so absolutely high. Yeah. And then they were like, when the pain started kicking in, I was like, where's the morphine? But it really was. I was absolutely, but obviously because when you have a birth like that, because they give you the oxytocin, don't they? So I was all dripped up. But I loved that section. And me and Dad always talk about, though we had that really scary bit, when we were in our little bubble, and I could cry of how happy I was. But I think I did need to know, I think if you have a bad childbirth, it's like, okay, you may not come out of it. Your body may not be made to deliver that baby, because obviously the genes I blame Dan's genes for him getting stuck, obviously. So
all Dan's fault.
So, but my body, I respect my body. Look at this, like 3 years later, I respect my body for doing its absolute best, keeping me at home, because I really wanted a home birth.
Right.
It was my fault. I downplayed the hypermobility. This is where now I realise where it went wrong. So I downplayed it for the consultant. When you go in.
Why did you downplay it?
Because I wanted a home birth so badly, and they wouldn't have let me. They would have asked. They would have put me through for a C-section probably. So I downplayed all of it. Yeah, downplayed it all, because I was like, I can birth this baby. I am going to birth this baby. So I went all out for home birth. And it was, I got to 10 centimeters, like I was pushing, but I'd left it. It was in a dangerous position. However, I needed to know that, this happens. And in my circle of friends, we did not talk about the fact that this happens, but it's going to be okay. And I think I am trying to step away from talking about drama for drama's sake, because drama seems to be more of a socially acceptable thing to talk about, when actually I've got some really good things happening in my life. And I always think now, and this is really honest actually, now I'm doing really well and I'm really happy. There are some people that don't speak to me anymore, or don't check in with me.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the only way. I don't know, because I think some people get and again, it's that savior, like wanting to be there for people. They're there for you in the bad times, but when good things are happening, they're not there to celebrate. And I think that's something we should acknowledge. I mean, I'm saying this so honest, like, but literally there were some people I just don't, like, I'll say, how are you? And they're like, okay, I'm okay. I'm good. But they don't ask me back.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm trying.
So because they assume that you are okay?
Well, I think because obviously I'm on Instagram stories, but I think that's like, I mean, everyone who watches my Instagram stories, I am myself. Like my friends always say, like, that is actually you. But I obviously don't say
the crackers on your stories.
Yeah. Well, I was just on my own. I'm just on my own all the time. Like this morning, I was delirious. But anyway, but that's that parallel of saying, understanding that's my job and my work, and I love doing that. But I don't say the ins and outs of me and Dan or me and Jackson or life. Instagram, I do share my life, but you can't share your life in like 15-second videos, really. I mean, you can to a point if you're on there all the time, but yeah, I think anyway, that's gone on a right tangent. But I think going back to what you're saying about connection, it's about saying it's okay to be in a connecting with people that have gone through a really bad week. You're listening to them, you're feeling them, you're making sure they're feeling heard and loved, and you're there for them with if they need it, when they need it. But also in the same room as somebody who's had a smashing week, absolutely buzzing, has had a really good mindset all week, that can find a challenging thought and battle with it and go, yeah, actually I'm a warrior, I'm gonna go for it, and still achieve something, and still be the person that's listening, helping them feel heard, and be there for,
and we can do that, and it's about a change in culture, and about, as you say, people listening, people celebrating each other, supporting each other when that's needed. And it's really simple. Really simple. None of this is really hard work, really simple. It's just being human. It's like we're forgetting how to be that, be a human.
I think it's just it's the tone, I think, as well, to understand your place. It's understanding for me that I am in this universe, and I'm going to get a bit spiritual and woo-woo now, but I'm in this universe.
I love woo-woo.
Yeah, absolutely love woo-woo. And do you know what? It really winds me up when people say woo-woo about it, but I don't know how else to explain it. But this idea that your thoughts can become something really amazes me. And people go, no, that's not true. But tell me, if you made up a story for your little one, that's not something that's happened in your thoughts and you've brought it into existence. That's a really good example of stuff like that. So having an idea that something's going to happen, you can make it happen. But the fact that the whole world and the universe wants it to happen, do you know what I mean? Like,
and it'll work for you. What you give energy to will come.
And it's just and understanding that there's so much around. As soon as I feel like, I don't know about you, but you might have a quiet week and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to get a booking, I'm never going to get an order again, ever again. As soon as I start feeling like this, I'm like, oh, my energy's not right. Of course I will. I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be doing a podcast, and you're supposed to be helping women. I mean, that is just such a vocation, and
nobody's dream is like the same, is it? Even another Mizan therapist, like there's a Mizan therapist that I'm really good friends with, and she's completely different to me, because she doesn't work really with trauma, and she works more with like the fertility side of things, which isn't my forte. I would work with women that want to explore that, but it's not really my forte, whereas she's amazing at it. And so even when something's really similar, it's not exactly the same. So there's abundance in the world. We don't need to be narrow.
No.
And everybody chasing the same dream. It's abundant. The world is abundant, and we can ask for what we want, and without guilt, and receive it without guilt.
Receive it without
and
guilt.
Sit in your divine feminine energy of receiving.
Do you know what I'm really rubbish at, though? Is the crystals in the moonlight and charging with crystals. And I've only got 2 crystals. I need to get. I don't know why I've only got 2.
Why do you need?
I don't know, because they're my. I got them when I first started Vivid, and so like if I'm having a day where I'm a bit like, oh. And it's normally because I've snoozed, everybody. I realise I never used to snooze. I know I snooze forever.
Love a nana nap.
Got snooze. No, like snoozing on the alarm. Yeah, I stopped doing it, and I was always in a really like first thing in the morning, felt much better. And then recently, where I'm working so late in the night because I've decided to launch a podcast and my coaching business and all of that.
You do stress me out. Sometimes when I'm watching your stories, I'm like, okay, how many things are you doing, Claire?
I know you meet Dan. He's like, at least the master's over. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm writing a book, aren't I? He's like, no, he said to me as well, I was like, I didn't realise I even said this. I went, I think I'm going to try and run every day. And he was like, shut up. Just shush.
You're annoying. You're annoying.
Like, literally just chill. And that's the thing, of having that time. But I as you're talking, I'm going to get some magnesium salts and make myself have a magnesium bath. Like, I can't remember the last time I had a bath. And obviously I've showered, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. The actual It's good, it's quite a ritual running yourself a bath, and it's nice.
Yeah, but I
It's
get
quite a
so
mindful
impatient.
practice.
Yeah, but because I just like, I want it filled now. I want to get in.
Yeah, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you seem such like a peaceful and aligned individual. Honestly, you really do. But does that take a lot of work? Is that always going back to the practice that you've trained and the work that you do with women?
I just want to laugh.
You're trying to
I'm not so sure I am. Am I peaceful? There's definitely things that I've put into place to bring my energy down and be less chaotic and stuff. But yeah, I don't think I've quite got the balance quite right yet.
You do appear
But
to have.
yeah, I mean, I live in a gorgeous place in the world. I access it and take full advantage of it all. You know, I'm a far cry away from maybe a city full-time work. My work's part-time, and because I'm self-employed, I manage my own diary. So sometimes it's evening work, sometimes it's weekends, sometimes it's during the day. So I do get, like today, I've been on a walk and been for a swim in the river, and so I'm so lucky I get to access that, and I don't for a minute take it for granted. I do practice
Amazing.
gratitude.
Just going swimming in the river, going
It
for
was
a walk.
cold, Claire, today. It was
Was
cold.
it?
Oh man, it was cold.
Yeah, but don't you get like a rush from going in the cold water?
So
Yeah.
this is a new journey for me. This cold water. I was like allergic to cold. Like as I was saying at the beginning of this conversation, it's all about heat, making sure you're warm, wrapping people up in blankets, stroking
Yeah.
them, giving them cuddles. And I used to watch my friends going into the river, and I'd be like, "You're all bloody mental," and I'd just be like holding the towels. And yeah, this summer I got in for the first time, and it took a lot. And today I got in, it was 9 degrees, the water. And
Ooh.
I just got in. So I'm interested to see how far I can get, because obviously a lot of wild swimmers, they break ice to get in.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. They
Because it
literally like break the ice and then get into the water. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure.
same here. I feel cold all over.
There was a lot of screaming and swearing getting in the water today. Obviously on Instagram, it's just a nice picture of me looking zen in the river. But getting in, I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
So yeah, I've created these spaces so I have got this balance, because also my work's heavy. The stories that I hear,
Mm,
are hard sometimes. And I see a therapist once a month as a supervision thing,
yeah.
because sometimes I hear stories that are hard.
Mm,
And from your past work and Dan and
yeah.
stuff, like when you're surrounded by stories that are really tragic,
Mm,
it's hard and they stay with you sometimes. So
yeah. Yeah.
I've created this, hopefully, a balance for myself where I can be present and true to my clients and do all the listening and nurture them and love them and try and help them to connect, but then also kind of release that and go away and have fun, like joy, like going back to how we met with the dance box,
Mm,
dance box, like finding joy. There's so much healing within
mm,
laughing and embracing joy.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm.
Embracing the joy. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
But it's allowing yourself to do it without feeling guilty.
Yeah, again,
Exactly.
receiving,
Yeah.
because like life's serious, life can be serious. And
Yeah.
talking about like Jackson looking in the mirror and like watching his ears and stuff like that. Like if you look at toddlers, they don't care, do they? They're
No.
just like having fun and exploring. And yeah, we have got to manage life, but we need to remember that we're human as well, and to embrace the joy and embrace
Yeah.
each other, and
Yeah.
remember we're human.
Yeah, it's always very easy to forget about, like, again, I'm fortunate to have a toddler, but how he will see, well, I need to go from the living room to the kitchen. What's the most fun? His brain does it automatically. What's the most fun way that I can get from the, from the kitchen? I'm going to jump, or I'm going to run, or I'm going to look how fast I am, or,
Yeah.
skip or crawl on the floor like a snake. Like it is
Yeah.
just well, how fun is that? And I actually do try and remember that as more, but you just get bogged down.
Of course.
You just get so bogged, and it's not,
Yeah.
you are allowed to let yourself. See, I'm just trying to think now, when he comes home, what fun way can I now then travel around the house just to make him laugh? But it's just
I
giving
reckon you
yourself
should go down the stairs on your front.
Oh my
Do
God.
you remember doing that as a kid?
No, but I tell you now, if I did
I
that,
used to do
he
that
would
all the time.
straight on your front. What about your chin?
Yeah. No, but like slowly. So you put your hands out in front and like crawl down the stairs.
Oh,
And
okay.
sometimes you go boom, 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 boom. But it's so much fun.
I used to go down on my bum a lot, like it was like a slide.
Not so sure my coccyx could handle that now.
Oh God. So
You should not do that with hypermobility.
No,
Your pelvis would be wrecked.
Oh, I know, everyone bloody hypermobility. If you could tell you're something, every single time I can't get these words out because I know it's because it's scripted in my notes. Okay, if you could tell yourself, if you could tell yourself something 10 years ago that you know now but you wish you'd known then, what would it be?
I think what I would tell myself back in the day would be probably to listen to my gut instinct more. I think for so long I've lived in my head and let my head make the decisions, and you know, your intuition's subtle and it's quiet because, as we've been talking, it's feminine energy, and feminine energy, for as much as it's powerful, it's subtle. You have to listen. And there's so many times I've done things and afterwards kind of regretted them and thought, I knew I shouldn't have done that, but I did it anyway. Why didn't I listen? And so now if I've got a decision to make, I really tune in. I sit down or I go on a walk and I really connect with my body and ask myself what it is and really listen to the answer. Really listen. If it's not right, my gut instinct is never wrong.
No. And when things are very busy, like this is a trick when I can't really hear it. If this is when I was younger, I'd flip a coin, and if it was like one decision or two out of two decisions, and as I flipped the coin, whatever it landed in, I would listen to what I would say, so whether I was disappointed or excited.
Yes.
And then listen to your gut. That's a really good way to train to hear your gut as well. If you use an easy way to prompt the response.
Yeah. What is it you're wishing for in that quick second?
Yeah. That's important. I was just thinking when you're saying I shouldn't have snogged all those manky boys. Right. Don't do it. Oh, I just will anyway. But yeah. Oh, Jenny, you are honestly amazing. Where can people find you?
So my Instagram is Nurture in Touch. And my website with all my events and things on is www.nurtureintouch.uk. So yeah, everything's on there.
Excellent.
Thank you, Claire. I just love you so much. Thank you. You're such a legend. Your smiling little face.
My face is killing me.
And I'm so excited for your Christmas collection. It's absolutely, I am getting a Rudolph. I need to.
So you've seen the early access. You've early access. Yeah, I think there's some things that I've put on limited because last year was just
crackers, wasn't it? Yeah,
crackers, absolute crackers. I definitely needed magnesium back then. But yeah, I can't believe it's a year ago. It's crazy. But yeah, no, thank you so much, Jen. Honestly, you are such a lovely human, and more than just a lovely human. You really, I think that's when you gravitate to people that are same wavelength. But even though we've only ever met each other virtually so far, you just exude this wonderful warmth and like you say, sharing the joy. So thanks, darling. Have a wonderful afternoon, evening. You're working this evening?
Yes, got full moon circle tonight.
Oh yes, of course. Amazing.
Yeah. So looking forward to it.
Oh, lovely. All right, take care of yourself. Hope it goes well.
Okay, lots of love.
Lots of love, babe. See you later.
See you now.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Written, produced and hosted by Claire Hill, and music has been composed by my brother, Phil Vidler.